The silent system. The conference room on the fourth floor of Nexus Tech's Atlanta headquarters smelled of stale coffee and tension. At the head of the table stood Victor Ramsey, his voice sharp but controlled, slicing through the air like a blade. "Do you think someone like you has the right to interrupt a disciplinary meeting?" His words landed heavily, aimed at Sarah Bennett, a soft-spoken QA engineer clutching a stack of deployment logs. Her shoulders stiffened, her eyes fixed on the table. The room, filled with a dozen colleagues, went quiet. Victor's gaze lingered, his half-smile daring anyone to challenge him. Then a voice broke the silence. "I reviewed those logs last night," said the man at the far end of the table. His tone was calm, steady, almost too measured. "She didn't make the error. The deployment variable is reset during batch sequencing." Heads turned. The speaker was Marcus Tate, known to the room as Daniel Carter, a new QA engineer who'd transferred from Dallas. His weathered face, lined with experience, gave nothing away. He wasn't angry or defensive, he was certain. Victor's eyes narrowed. "You're new here, barely through orientation, and you think you get to speak in a meeting like this?" Marcus didn't flinch. "I spoke because the facts matter." A few colleagues shifted uncomfortably. Victor's smile tightened, cold and calculated. "You've misunderstood your place," he said. The meeting ended abruptly, Victor muttering about alignment, before striding out. Sarah gathered her things in silence, avoiding eye contact. Marcus stayed seated, unmoving, until the room emptied. By 10:42 the next morning, Marcus's access badge was dead. In a brief HR meeting, Patricia from People Operations delivered the verdict. "Your conduct disrupted a formal discussion. Challenging a team leader's authority isn't conducive to a healthy workplace." Marcus said nothing. He'd seen enough. As he walked out, the polished tiles of the third-floor corridor echoed under his steps. A framed poster touting integrity, courage, teamwork caught his eye. He almost laughed. Marcus Tate had built Nexus Tech from nothing late nights coding, borrowed money, and a belief that people mattered. Decades ago, there were no slogans, no HR scripts, just a dream of a company that valued truth. Now, fired from his creation for defending it, he saw the rot. This wasn't just bad management, it was a culture that demanded silence, cloaked bias and professionalism, and punished those who didn't fit the mold. Outside, Atlanta's midtown wind hit him like a challenge. No more disguises. No more watching from the shadows. The system thought it was untouchable, but it had forgotten who built it. Marcus didn't go home. He walked past the glass doors still bearing his company's name, past the coffee shops where suited employees typed furiously, oblivious to the man who'd shaped their world. In the small apartment he rented as Daniel Carter, his phone buzzed. A text from Nathan Brooks, his oldest friend and co-founder, the only one who knew the truth. "You good?" Marcus stared at the screen before replying. "Not yet, but I see it now." He opened a notebook, pages filled with 3 weeks of observations. Sarah humiliated in public, junior engineer Tim apologizing for asking a fair question, Victor mocking in private Slack threads. The culture hadn't just drifted, it was engineered to silence. The next morning, Marcus met Nathan at a creaky diner on Peachtree Street, the kind of place where waitresses poured coffee without asking. Nathan slid into the booth, glancing at the notebook. "You're not surprised?" Marcus said. Nathan shook his head. "Hoped I'd be wrong." Marcus leaned back. "Victor's not just a bad manager. He's a gatekeeper, protected because he keeps people in line." Nathan stirred his coffee. "You got fired from your own company for speaking up. Now what? Fix it quietly or tear the mask off." Marcus didn't answer, but a storm was brewing behind his calm eyes. That afternoon, Sarah sat at her desk, staring at a screen she couldn't focus on. Marcus's absence was a void. Officially, he'd resigned for personal reasons. Unofficially, everyone knew. Tim paused by her desk. "You okay?" She nodded, unconvincingly. "He didn't deserve that," Tim said. Sarah whispered, "Have you noticed how Victor only targets certain people? New hires, juniors, people like us." Tim finished her thought. "People who don't look like him." They glanced at Victor's glass-walled office, where he laughed over a presentation, untouchable. That evening, Marcus drafted an email to himself as Marcus Tate, CEO of Nexus Tech. Subject: Internal investigation required. Body: Attached are documented cultural discrepancies and personnel abuse in the QA unit. Review recommended. He attached scans of his notebook, dates, names, facts, no accusations. He hit send, a symbolic act, a line in the sand. The system would remember who built it. The next day, Victor strutted through the QA floor, buoyant, as if he'd won a war. In a meeting, Sarah mentioned Marcus's logs proving her innocence. Victor cut her off, smirking. We've moved on. But she hadn't. Alone, she reread a late-night Slack message from Marcus. Good work, Sarah. The system didn't break, it exposed itself. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, then stopped. There was no one to tell. At 3 p.m., Marcus walked out of a private elevator onto the 21st floor, no longer Daniel Carter. The receptionist blinked. Mr. Tate, no one said you'd be in. He nodded and walked to his corner office, still technically his, though others had filled it with plaques. He stood by the window, Atlanta sprawling below, and called Nathan. It's time. Conference room 17B, 3 p.m. tomorrow. Invite Victor, Patricia from HR, and the board reps. My name, no context. Nathan understood. Victor saw the invite and froze. J. Tate. Not Daniel. Marcus. He barely slept. By 3:02 p.m. the next day, he sat in 17B, suit pressed, notes ready, stomach churning. Marcus entered, calm, unyielding. Sit, he said. Victor complied. Marcus slid a printed Slack transcript across the table. Victor's words. That kid thinks he's a hero. Culture fit excuse always works. Victor paled. Marcus's voice was level. You dismissed a qualified woman to protect your ego. You fired a man without knowing he could end your career in one meeting. You saw a black man speak truth and assumed he was disposable. He turned to Patricia. Effective immediately, Mr. Ramsey is reassigned. Compliance oversight, Boston. No leadership. Weekly ethics debriefs. If he resists, inform legal. Patricia nodded. Marcus stood. This room doesn't exist. What was said stays here. I'm not here for scandal. I'm here to fix what broke. He left without another word. Downstairs, Sarah packed up when a Slack pinged. From m.tate@nexustech.com. I heard your voice. I never forgot it. Let's talk tomorrow, 21st floor. Her hands shook. She didn't sleep. The next morning, she rode the elevator to the executive suite, a world of warm carpets and art, far from the QA wing's flickering lights. Marcus stood by a window, his back turned. Come in, he said. She closed the door. I wasn't sure you'd reach out, she said. He turned, eyes weary but kind. I owe you the truth. They sat at a small table, 2 coffees steaming. I'm not Daniel, he said. I'm Marcus Tate. I founded Nexus Tech 23 years ago. I stepped away but returned to see what it had become. Sarah blinked. You're that Marcus Tate? He nodded. I chose the QA team because truth hides in the forgotten corners. I saw how they silenced you, erased you when you were right. Sarah's voice cracked. I tried to stay quiet, but silence felt like complicity. Marcus nodded. You spoke. So did I. And I got fired from my own company. She asked, why tell me now? He leaned forward. Because it's time to rebuild, and I can't do it alone. He slid an envelope across the table. Inside, a card. Sarah Bennett, Culture Lead, Integrity and Ethics Division, Nexus Tech. I'm not qualified, she whispered. You are, Marcus said. You lived it. You understand what this company forgot. Her eyes stung. Slowly, she nodded. In Boston, Victor sat in a glass cubicle, stripped of power, filling out ethics forms. He pushed back at first, but no one cared. His silence was his mirror, his justice. At Nexus Tech, change began quietly. Old slogans vanished. HR rewrote procedures. Sarah held listening sessions, starting with Tim, who admitted, when Marcus spoke up, I realized being the only Asian guy on the team wasn't why I was overlooked. Sarah replied, it wasn't. And it won't happen again. Marcus walked the QA floor unannounced, pausing at Dana's desk. How's the Jenkins pipeline? She smiled. Stabilized, thanks to Sarah's documentation. Ever think about leading a sprint? Dana blinked. Me. Marcus nodded. Yes, you. He wasn't everywhere, but he was present where it mattered. 3 weeks later, Marcus disrupted a town hall planning session. No suits, no sound bites. We're telling the truth. Invitations went out, physical cards, no details. The auditorium filled, buzzing with rumors. Marcus took the stage, no props, just a mic. I want to tell you a story about someone who joined this company, worked late, and noticed everything. He saw a teammate, Sarah, blamed for an error that wasn't hers. He spoke up, honestly, and was silenced. That man was me. Gasps rippled. He continued. I returned because I lost trust in what I heard from up here. I sat beside you and saw what broke me. A projector lit up, courage to speak. We're opening confidential reporting channels. overseen by an independent board. We're starting a mentorship program, led by those who spoke through silence. Leadership metrics will now weigh culture as much as output. He called Sarah to the stage. You kept your integrity when no one else did. You made this place better. He handed her the card. Applause grew, not forced but real. Backstage, Tim found Sarah. You knew? She shook her head. Not until he stood up for me. Tim whispered, I hope I have that courage one day. Sarah smiled. You do. You just haven't needed it yet. The Courage Chain launched a digital archive of employee stories about silence and bravery. A public exhibit in the lobby etched each tale into glass. Sarah recorded her story. I thought silence was the only way to stay. I was wrong, but I wasn't alone. Marcus unveiled the exhibit, its centerpiece reading, Justice doesn't require noise. It requires presence. Other companies took notice, asking how Nexus Tech rebuilt trust. Marcus stepped back, not in retreat, but in trust. At a team dinner in the Commons, Tim toasted, to the company that now builds monuments from voices. Laughter and tears followed. Later, Sarah joined Marcus on the terrace. You're stepping back again? He nodded. I trust what's here. Maybe I'll start that community tech lab. Sarah looked at the skyline. The pain made this real. We changed the people. Marcus agreed. And they changed each other. Spring brought a new Nexus Tech. The QA floor hummed with open chatter. Sarah led onboarding, telling new managers, people don't leave because of work. They leave because they feel invisible. Dana pinned ideas to a witness wall, tracking moments of kindness. Marcus read a Courage Chain entry. It wasn't new leadership that made me stay. It was knowing I could become it. He smiled, closed the terminal, and left the office. This wasn't about systems, Anna Marie, it was about people. On a quiet Tuesday, Marcus returned to the 4th floor, sitting at his old desk. Sarah handed him coffee. Owed this place one more memory, he said. She nodded. We're getting interview requests. Other companies want to know how we did it. Marcus grinned. No checklists. Just the truth. Later, the final Courage Chain update. The ones who stayed went live. Dana's words lingered. I stayed because I could lead what I once waited for. The revolution wasn't loud. It was patient, human, and enduring. Nexus Tech wasn't perfect, but it was there's a place where no one had to scream to be heard. What did you think of Marcus's journey? Have you ever faced injustice or violence in your workplace or life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Take a stand, your voice matters.